So again, shout out prayers up to Juju Watkins, man. Hopefully she's able to recover at a good pace. With modern day medicine and the torn ACLs, usually the recovery time is about a year. So hopefully with modern day medicine, she's able to, get that back up. What up, Jay? How you doing, Jay? That she's able to get back right. Shout out to Juju Watkins.
Yes, yes, yes. And then now, I mean, you seen your boy Anthony Davis came back, man. You know, after missing 18 games, he said,
Uh-huh.
Kyrie done. Anthony Davis like, let me come back. I mean, I know. See, for me, honestly, I don't really feel like he should have came back.
Hmm.
Kyrie's out. All them other boys is out. It's just like, just count your losses, get healthy. Because you coming back, I mean, for what at this point?
Right.
You know? What's your take on that?
Well, my 2 cents on that, I think for Anthony Davis, for him and physically, I believe that he wanted to come back in order to stay in basketball shape, in order to prevent any, it sounds weird, but in order to prevent any other injuries, right? Because sometimes when you stay dormant, your body kind of gets lax and other things may occur within your body because you're not using those muscles, right? So I think in Anthony Davis' case, he's like, hey, listen, um, Kyrie Irving is out. I need to step up. They traded for me. I want to give these fans at least some look and insight on why they traded for me and why they got a valuable asset in me, Anthony Davis. So let me just go out there and see if we can make the playoffs. Let's see if I can be that guy to carry this team to the playoffs. So I think for Anthony Davis leaving the Lakers and how he left because he wanted to be at a certain position and they wasn't able to grant him that. So he goes over to Dallas where he's at his normal position. And I think he got a chip on the shoulder. He want to show the Dallas Maverick fans again that, hey, y'all traded me for, Luka Doncic, which is, beyond crazy. But you got Anthony Davis. You got
Niggas
me.
is
I'm a
fine.
NBA champion, defensive player of the year one time. What he won defensive player of the year one time? Did he?
And
Did,
Davis,
no, no,
you
no,
gotta
no. He
look that one
didn't.
up.
No, no. I don't think he did. But a great defensive presence in the middle, Anthony Davis. So I just think for him, is a chip on his shoulder, and that's the reason why he came back.
Yeah, I think him getting
Lakers did win
injured
that
all the
trade though.
yeah, I mean him getting injured all the time. Nah, I mean because you're gonna get in the playoffs and do what? Don't make sense to me,
Right.
especially for somebody who always getting hurt.
Right.
I think looking the next season is the thing when everybody's supposed to get back, you know,
Right.
because it's like I feel like everybody kind of like, okay, you know what? With all the injuries, we can't really assess the Mavericks this season.
Mm,
It's a lost cause, chalk it up. But
mm,
salute to Ann Davis for trying to show some heart. But you know,
mm. Well, let me see. Let me see. What are they current? What are the Mavericks' current standings?
they are the Phoenix Suns. I know they crept up.
They're
Um,
currently
okay, the top.
11th.
Yeah, I'm about to say because yeah, they crept up. It's Phoenix Suns, and I'm like, yeah, I think
Hmm.
they just slipped up the playing, but yeah, you said they're in 11, so they out the playing right now. I
Right.
mean, you going for playing because you're the top six teams, and nobody like. I think they're just set.
Hmm.
It's just a matter of what order everybody after OKC will be. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think for the Mavericks and Suns, they're going to be pretty much battling for that. I mean, they're only let me see, because they only like a half a game back behind the Kings for the ninth spot. Because they got the same wins and then they got one more loss other than the Kings. Same for Suns. So the
yeah,
Kings, Suns, and Mavericks are vying for that play-in spot. Um, it would be sad to see Kevin Durant out the playoffs. Though I wouldn't. I would love to see him in the playoffs to see what they could do, especially against the Thunder. That would, his former team in the first round of the playoffs. That would be dope. But yeah, I just think again for Anthony Davis, I think he just wanted to show and prove like, hey, this is who you traded for me, and you got a valuable asset, and let's just rock out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's my 2 cents and change.
And got more basketball news. I don't know if you heard about that big one-on-one matchup, Lance Stevenson versus Michael Beasley.
Oh, that I'm excited to see that. I really am, And
For
for me, I
100K,
think,
by the way,
huh?
for 100,000.
For 100K. It's crazy that crazy that both players, hopefully both players still have that much money in the bank. You know what I mean? 100,000 ain't nothing to
I think
slouch
it's
on.
probably sponsors,
Probably
people sponsoring that game.
sponsors. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I don't think neither one of them got 100K like that. They could splurge. Uh, but Beasley, boy, Beasley is that guy.
What up,
If
Sajero?
So, Jared, what up, baby? Beasley's that dude, right? We've seen videos of Beasley cooking dudes one on one. We've seen that. It's on record. This is what Beasley do. Just like when Kobe had said, "Who would win on a one on one with me?" and so. He like, come on, now, that's a silly question. This is what I do, right? We're not known to see Lance Stephenson be a one-on-one player playing one-on-one. There's no videos, there's nothing to prove that point. So I got
Nah.
my money on Beasley. He's taller, he's
Hey,
bigger. And
yo, Ivo,
Beasley,
what up?
remember, he was a former number one pick. So he ain't no slouch, right? So let's get that in the forefront. So my money on Beasley. I got $1 on Beasley.
I mean, I had like I agree. I'll give Beasley the edge, but I can't, because you from Brooklyn. I'm not gonna let you jump off a cliff and sound crazy. Lance one on one, he get busy. He be dancing. We're not going front like Lance don't get busy. You feel me? Lance get busy, and he, it's just that, I just think Beasley, he got the edge. He got the edge. Beasley got the edge. I would give the edge, but Lance is not a slouch one on one though. We're not going to act like he don't get right. I done seen and Sajiro in here, when Lance had to suit up in Gersh, take out them Staten Island boys. Feel me? Lance, yeah, Sajiro, remember that? Them Staten Island boys was tight in East New York. They was like, "Dude, I cheated, Lance, you cheated."
Hey, listen, right, and also it depends on if it's ball out or if make or miss. It depends on how they play, right? Because
Yeah,
if it's make it and take it, make or miss, like if it's make it and take it, and Beasley gets the ball first, Lance ain't getting that ball back, and it depends on what the score is. Because
nah.
if they played a 7-11, I don't see Lance getting that ball back. Because
Yo, bro, Lance is a pro too. It's not like he's Beasley's playing me. Like Lance is not a small dude.
he's
Like
not.
Lance go get the ball.
He's
Like,
not.
you feel me? All
But
right.
I just think that Beasley is bigger and more physical than Lance is. And I haven't, and I'm going by what I have seen, right? I have
Okay.
not seen any videos of Lance working out, Lance doing this and that. We've seen Beasley is active. He played in a big three. He's active. He's in the gym cooking niggas. He had this one video clip where he did this one move and they was questioning whether it was a walk or not. He's out there working on different shit. I hadn't seen Lance Stephenson do nothing. So I'm going by how we say the eye test. I'm going by the eye test. Beasley is bigger and stronger, and he ain't no slouch. Shout out to Lance Stephenson. I'm not trying to dog Lance Stephenson or nothing like that, but right now my money is on Michael Beasley because that is what he do, and that's my 2 cents and change.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I do got B's, but like I said, Lance ain't a slouch. And
He said
that
Lance gonna blow in his ear.
yo, man, listen. Leave my Brooklynite alone, Pyro. You feel me? My boy Lance get right, man. You feel me?
Shout out to
But
Lance Stephenson, but that'd be a
shout
good one. I hope they televise that or do something with that and make some bread off of that. That's dope.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then Jeff Teague, I remember he had a comment, and I think from a business standpoint, I kind of like, I'm not going. I guess agree because he was basically saying how he wished that they didn't just jump on that 100K. Like they
Mm,
would have just talked more trash, built it up, and they probably would have got more bread.
right,
And then he said because there's no like promotion for it, like there was no backstory, like them talking joint. He said they
right.
just set it up, took the bread. He said, it could open up the door for other people to want to do it, but he just felt like they could have got more money for that. How you feel
Right.
about that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're in a social media age and everything is put on Front Street on social media. So I think if they were to put a more backing to it, given that it's two former NBA players and given that is on a one-on-one aspect, it introduces something new, right? So
Mhm.
obviously people going to gravitate to something that's new. Oh, these two NBA players, they one-on-one. Oh, that's dope, because in the hood, you know how you do in the hood, play some
Yeah,
one-on-one. You know what I'm saying? To see one-on-one shows kind of who is the better player, right? Because there's no team, it's just you versus the other guy,
yeah,
right? So I think, yes, if they were to put more backing into it, more hype into it, especially with social media, how it is now, of course they could have got way more money, could have got sponsors like I alluded to before. They could have made it where it could have been a maybe like a sort of a pay-per-view thing, or just get other sports people involved and made it bigger than what it was. But who says it's not going to go to that? Because you got to have somebody to pioneer something, right? So
yeah.
hopefully Lance and Beasley can pioneer this, and this could be something that a lot of people could look forward to. Because I know I would want to see dreams like, let me see LeBron James versus Carmelo Anthony one-on-one. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be
Yeah.
some ill shit. That'd be something ill. So, shout out to those
And
guys.
Spax has the
And
Jiro too
huh?
with the driving anticipation. Yeah, I was telling Spax on about Sajiro comment about the promotion and stuff. That's true. And
Yes. Yes.
specifically,
Yep.
alluding to that with Jeff Teague, Brandon Jennings been talking crazy, so he might be in line next. He talking like he the pioneer. He better than Drew Holiday. He better than Jeff Teague. He better than everybody. Brandon Jennings is talking crazy, so that could potentially be another matchup, him versus somebody. I mean,
Right.
Brandon Jennings was dope, but I feel like it's one of those things where it's like he hanging on to his high school days. And like, yeah, in the pros, like, yo, Brandon Jennings, you wasn't better than Drew Holiday in the pros. Come on, man. Like,
D Wade versus Westbrook. I don't know about that one, Pyro. Nah,
man, you
but
gotta be
but Brandon
realistic
Jennings,
basketball.
lucky lefty, bro. Lucky lefty. I ain't putting it past Brandon Jennings. As
Nah, nah,
far as
nah. Drew,
skill wise,
Drew Holiday better than Drew Holiday? Come
Brandon
on.
Jennings, I give Brandon Jennings better than Drew. Yep. I don't know about Teague though, but he's better than Drew Holiday.
Hold
Yes,
on, hold
absolutely.
on, hold on. Ladies and gentlemen that are in here, I don't know. It must be the water in North Carolina. My brother said he's not. Brandon Jennings is better than Drew
Yep.
Holiday, but he doesn't know about Jeff Teague. Drew Holiday is better than both of them. What are we talking about? Jeff Teague better than Drew Holiday? Stop,
Jeff
stop,
Teague.
stop,
Jeff Teague
stop,
is well.
stop.
I'm not saying Jeff Teague is better than Drew Holiday. I'm saying Brandon Jennings, skill wise, is better than Drew Holiday. Yes, Brent. Have y'all? You watched Brandon Jennings ball? Brandon Jennings wasn't no slouch, bro. Brandon
Neither
Jennings
was
was
Drew
out there
Holiday.
cooking.
In high school, he was cooking at an elite clip, yes, but it's the same thing with
On the
Russell
Bucks
Westbrook.
too, he was cooking when he was in the NBA. What are you talking about?
You know,
Don't try.
yo, Brandon Jennings, first 3 weeks, he was looking like, oh man, then it mellowed out. He still did his thing, but it wasn't that he didn't win Rookie of the Year. Tyreek Evans won Rookie of the Year, and Steph Curry came in second. He started
Okay.
out hotter than both of them and ended up
Answer
coming
this
in like
question
third or
for
fourth.
me. Answer
Oh,
this question for me.
all right, all
When's the
right.
last time Drew Holiday cooked anybody in the league?
Yo, I know, yo, come on now. Are you being
When?
serious right now?
When the
He
last
was
time he
cooking
cooked
in the
somebody in the league?
playoffs last year
Huh?
when they won. He was cooking in the playoffs, and then when they won, when the Bucks won the chip, he was cooking, and he done locked up Dame Lillard in the playoffs. Like, come on, see, that's how I know you chatting right now. Talking about, yo, when the last time Drew Holiday, when the last time Brandon Jennings cooked somebody?
I mean, Brandon
Last
Jennings
time I
been
seen
out of the league
Brandon
for years,
Jennings,
bro.
he was on the
He's been out of
Knicks.
the leagues for years. He's been
All
in the league
right
for
then,
years.
all
But when
right
he was in
then.
the league, he was cooking. He was
No,
doing his thing.
he was all right, but he was not cooking more than Drew Holiday's an all-star. Name how many all-star appearances Brandon Jennings got.
None.
Okay, how many times Brandon Jennings uh locked up an all-star point guard and made it to the next round?
We're not talking about locking up. We're talking about
Brandon
who's the better player.
Drew Holiday. Both
Nah, I
sides of the
got.
rock.
Hey, yo,
Both
Brandon.
sides.
We
Basketball
gonna
is two
tag
sides,
Brandon
right?
Jennings and Drew Holiday in this clip, and we gonna get that in motion. Y'all heard it here first. 2 cents in the
Come
podcast.
on,
Gonna get
man.
that in motion. I
Shout
got
out to
I got
Drew
I got
Holiday, man.
$100 on Brandon Jennings. Cook him. He gonna cook that dude. Stop playing.
All right.
Stop playing with Brandon Jennings, Bob.
All right.
Stop,
You're acting
stop
like
playing.
every
Drew
team
Holiday, nigga.
Every team Drew
Shout out
Holiday
Drew
goes
Holiday,
to
but Drew
winning
Holiday.
chips. Winning chips.
Drew
Chip
Holiday.
me. Chip
Get him out
me.
of here.
Chip
Next,
me.
Drew
Chip
Holiday.
me.
Brother said Drew
Yeah, all
Holiday.
right. All right.
That's laughable, bro. Drew Holiday.
All right. All right. All right. So I mean, with that being said, man, but I guess before we're gonna take a little twist real quick, because something I've been seeing a bunch of stuff, and I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm about sick of Aaron Rodgers, man. I'm sick of Aaron Rodgers, man. You know what I'm saying?
Say who?
Like Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, Rodgers?
Yeah, I mean, he just popped. I'm not really messing with him, man. I know we was talking about the basketball, but I had to, vent about Aaron Rodgers real quick,
Okay.
because
So what about Aaron
boy,
Rodgers?
the boy just be whining. He acting like he's him, and it's like, my dude, you messed the Jets up, and
Did
that's,
he?
yes, he did. You came to the Jets. Before Aaron Rodgers
They
came,
was
they had
a
so
great
much
team.
potential.
Yeah, he was. They
You know what I
was.
mean?
And they needed a quarterback to get over the hump, but
It
to
wasn't
his
him.
to his defense, he got injured. He got for the whole season.
Yeah, he was out for the whole
And
year, but then he was here.
he's a 40-some-year-old man,
So,
so
so, and then this year he was everything he wanted. They gave him, and he did nothing. But they
I mean,
lost. They just kept losing. They went and got Devontae Adams, all that. Like,
mhm.
and I mean, I'm glad he's out here. But my issue with him now is that he like waiting and trying to, hold out and wait to before he picked the new team he going to. My thing
Mhm.
is like, you're not really like that. This is not 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Give these young boys a chance, because he's not Tom Brady.
He's
He's not
definitely
Brady.
not Tom Brady, and
You know what I'm
he's
saying?
definitely not the Aaron Rodgers of old. But you bring in Aaron Rodgers I mean, if you look at the NFL today, you really will bring in Aaron Rodgers as not a starting quarterback, but as somebody that could be a mentor to a rising quarterback. Because as it stands right now, the position of quarterback is a quarterback legs league, and I mean you gotta be able to scramble and make plays with your feet in order to win now in today's quarterback in the NFL. And Aaron Rodgers just don't got that, coming off a serious was an ACL injury, right?
Nah,
He
it was Achilles, I believe.
Achilles, coming off a serious Achilles injury. And we all know how that transition into people that are athletic, that relies on their feet or their legs to movement. It hinders them. If we look at all the athletes that suffered Achilles injuries, the latest one was Kobe Bryant. Look what it did to Kobe. And at his age, right? So I think for Aaron Rodgers, for a team to bring him in, they will bring him in based off a name and what he did in the past, not what he could do now, right? Because Aaron Rodgers, when he came back, he still didn't show that he could do anything now, right? So I just think that for Aaron Rodgers, it's time to hang it up, man. It's time to hang it up.
Yeah,
Obviously there
hang
are
it up.
teams that need quarterbacks, right?
Yeah,
But Aaron Rodgers is just not that guy right now. He's not like a LeBron James defying age, right? So he's not one of those guys. So I just think that it's time for Aaron Rodgers to hang the cleats up, man. I mean, he got a Super Bowl ring on his belt. He's one of the
yeah,
greatest. He's in the conversation as one of the greatest quarterbacks ever played a game. So just take that, bow out gracefully, and salute Aaron Rodgers. That's my 2 cents and change.
yeah. Peace out, Aaron Rodgers. Get up out of here. Field goal. Get him up out of here, man. But before we really switch, hit us with those what ifs, bro.
Okay, shout out to AJ1K Twan. We shout out on Twitter, man. Twitter is going up. 2 cents and change podcast. We on Twitter. The people on there is eating it up on Twitter right now. We did a what if on there with the recent one. We just put up there the what if Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant teamed up. It's going crazy on there. So just make sure y'all follow the pages and keep on tabs of the what ifs. These are curated by my son, your nephew, Antoine, 1K.Twan on Instagram. So make sure y'all check it out. So these top 5 what ifs. There's the first what if is, what if Tim Duncan got traded to the Orlando Magic? Now that's crazy. That's
He was supposed to sign over there.
Huh?
Yeah, he was supposed to sign over there. I mean, they messed it up. It's on record that they messed it. They fumbled the bag with that.
Mm-hmm.
But if he would have went, even if Grant Hill would have got hurt,
that's Doc Rivers' fault.
Yeah, it's documented that they messed up. But T-Mac and Duncan, yo, AI, you know you my heart, man. But no finals.
T-Mac
if Tim
and
Duncan was on Orlando. Orlando Magic would have been in the finals playing against Kobe and Shaq.
That would have been absolutely, and that would have been a finals that the world would have eaten up. Kobe and T-Mac in a final, Shaq and Kobe versus Duncan and Duncan and
T-Mac
and McGrady. Like, bro, woo! That would have been, just imagine that finals. And Grant Hill, even though he was, going through his injuries, he was still on there. That he could have found extra motivation to get back on the court to play. That would have been something serious. That would have been something.
I'm sorry, AI. I'm sorry.
That would have been something serious. Yeah,
would have been no finals.
Duncan and T-Mac.
No finals. That would have been.
That's a big what if. So we're gonna ponder on that. The next what if. What if Melo would have joined the big 3 instead of Chris Bosh? What if?
I mean, Melo would have definitely been chipped up. And I think that, Bosh is not a dog like Melo.
Mm-hmm.
So even if Braun was, would have had the performance he had, Melo would have been out there like, give me the rock, man, getting 20. You know what I mean? He probably would have. I think he would have helped pick up some of that slack that Braun did, even with Braun playing like that. But Bosh not a dog like that. So I think that Melo being over there, definitely.
Well, I agree with Dap, Don. My man, what up, Dap? Shout out to my man, Dap. I don't think that would have worked, bro. Because no. And you know why it wouldn't work? Because Carmelo has too much pride. If you looked at when he was going through a situation and him not wanting to come off the bench, right? Like, I'm Carmelo Anthony. I'm a Hall of Famer. The bench? The fuck you mean come off the bench? Like,
everybody don't think it would work.
It wouldn't work because Melo is not a number 3 or number 2. Like, if he would have went to Miami, he would have been a number 3. Let's be honest, right? There was no way he's going to get more touches than Braun, and he probably want to get more touches than Wade because that is Wade's team. Even though Wade would have probably conceded to Melo and Braun like he did with Braun, but that wouldn't work because Melo is an ISO ball dominant player. That would have never worked. But shout out to Melo and probably recognizing that and going for the money. But that would have never worked. LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony down there, and look what it did. We got a glimpse of it when they was in LA, right? It didn't work.
That was far removed, Melo.
But it didn't work. It didn't work. Melo was seemingly, when you play with LeBron James, right, you got to play off of LeBron James. You can't be the dominant player when you play with LeBron James. Any superstar that played with LeBron James, all of them had to concede, right? Case in point, look at Westbrook when Westbrook was over there. Westbrook is not a shooter, right? He's a slasher point guard. He needs the balls in his hands, but it took the ball out of his hands because LeBron James is a ball dominant player. So you got to seemingly be waiting in the corner. Westbrook being spot-up shooter. That's not his game. went to Denver, and look what he's doing in Denver. So that would have never worked with Melo and them over there. Bosh was a perfect fit. He didn't mind playing the third fiddle. He didn't mind being the corner spotting up. He didn't mind doing the dirty work and letting Wade and them do their thing. So that Melo dynamic wouldn't work. It's a big what if. A big what if because they all them three of them at their peak of their prime playing together, the Banana Boat crew, but they game styles, I don't think that would have worked. That's my 2 cents in change.
I can see that. Yeah, I ain't really got too much to add to that.
What up,
What's next?
baby? What up, y'all? Make sure y'all share this live too. All y'all that's tuning in, be commenting and shout out to all of y'all, man. Make sure y'all share it live. And the next AJ's top 5 what if LeBron and Wade went to the Bulls to join D Rose? Now that would have worked. Whoa,
nah,
that would have worked.
I ain't gonna lie. I ain't really feeling that, man.
Nah, that would have worked, bro.
Nah, I'm gonna tell you why I'm not feeling it. I don't know about it working, but the reason why I ain't feeling it, because D Rose was him. So any one of them coming over, taking life from D Rose, I'm not feeling it. You dig? I would have. If D Rose is the number 1, we know who LeBron is and D Wade, but nah, y'all play off D Rose. Y'all play off. You know how I feel about D Rose, man. That's why I'm not really feeling it. I ain't gonna lie. I'm happy that didn't happen.
You know,
I don't really know if it worked or not, but I ain't feeling it. I was never feeling it.
You know why I think that would have worked? I think that would have worked because if you look at LeBron James now, right, and how he's playing alongside Luka, even though this is a LeBron James that's in his 40s compared to a LeBron James that was in his early 30s in his style of play, but LeBron is a cerebral player, and he knows, okay, how to get the most out of his players, right? So I think by him going first, it would have prolonged Derrick Rose's career. Derrick Rose would have never had the injury. It would have prolonged his career. It, for me, is a fit because LeBron James can be an off-ball player. He don't have to be a ball-dominant player. If you have a ball-dominant point guard like how he had with Kyrie Irving, he didn't have to be a ball-dominant because Kyrie is Kyrie, right? In that situation, it was just a matter of Kyrie being salty because he wanted to be the leader of the team, and he brought in LeBron James after he signed his deal, whatever. So that's a different story. But that would have worked because you would have had Derrick Rose would have been Derrick Rose. LeBron would have been LeBron. Dwayne Wade still would have been able to be Dwayne Wade. I think, in my 2 cents, I think that dynamic would have worked because of each player style of play. One person doesn't have to be ball dominant in that situation. Derrick Rose didn't have to be ball dominant because obviously he's the point guard. He could score his points and still dish. LeBron James doesn't have to be dominant because you got Derrick Rose, you got Dwayne Wade. He can facilitate. Dwayne Wade, he's not really a ball dominant player. He could play off the ball well. So I think that dynamic would have worked. That's a big what if, but I think that would have worked.
Yeah, my 2. I ain't really feeling it because D Rose was him. So. That's my.
He said Wade and Rose cancel off the rip. Yep, they do. Wade and Rose cancel each other off the rip. They do. He says who's going to be the point? Derrick Rose is going to be the point guard. Rose was him. I don't think.
Yeah, D Rose was like, bro. Like, I think that you forget how special D Rose was. Like,
no,
I think honestly, if D Rose never gets injured, I think the Bulls win a chip with what they had. The reason why they didn't beat Miami. Because some of them guys wasn't ready. That's what that was. It was, and then their whole team was on Rose. So it was like they was daring others to win. And that's D Rose's 3rd year in the league. So D Rose was special. Like it's not but like LeBron is. We know who LeBron is. D Wade, but D Rose was him, all capitals. So I just don't feel like I never liked that. Because D Rose was that good. He didn't with what he had in Chicago, them just dudes just needed some more experience. And but and they just got hurt before it could really all come together. But
but again, I say that would have worked because it would have took it. Once you add a superstar player on your team, it takes a load off the other player because you don't have to do as much, right? For instance, if you look what happened to Kyrie Irving when they traded Luka, Kyrie had to play 40 minutes each night because you can't come out. You know, you got to play these games. You are a superstar player, you got to play these games, and he got injured, right? So when you have three stars, you could kind of alleviate the minutes. You know, one player could take over a game, this player could take over a game, that player could take over a game. So it kind of balances itself out as far as minutes concerned. Each player don't have to play 40 minutes a game. I just think the way each style of player, the style of play each player have, I think that dynamic would have worked. Just like when you look at when we just talked about Miami and Melo going over there, that dynamic wouldn't work because of the style of play and player that Melo is, you know, so that's why that. But the style of play that Braun Wade, and I think that would have worked. I think they would have won they would have won at least one chip. I mean, with Braun and them over there, and I think it prolonged Derrick Rose's career. But that's just a huge what if, right? That's why these are what ifs.
All right.
So the next what if is what if Penny and Shaq stayed together. Now we all know what they they knocked out Chicago Bulls when Mike came back from the shortened season. They knocked the Chicago Bulls off. Mike was a little rusty, even though I don't think Mike was a little rusty. They still came. They still went to the playoffs. Still had an incredible record. And it was, Shaq and Kobe was just on that high.
Penny,
right? Penny and Shaq was on that high. My 2 cents of change on that is if Penny and Shaq would have stayed together, that had the potential to be better than the Kobe and Shaq dynamic. And I say this because Penny was a willing passer, right? And Kobe, we all know Kobe is Kobe mentality, like give me the ball, I'm gonna take over, and they won chips together, Kobe and Shaq. But I think the Penny and Shaq dynamic, they would have had to get by Mike and those guys over there for the duration of their period. That would have been a task. But I think as Shaq developed into what Shaq had developed into LA as that dominant, because in Orlando, he was more agile, more quicker up and down. As he progressed into his body, the Lakers just dominant force. Just imagine Shaq in his LA days with a Penny. How can you stop that? That would have been, it was no way you would stop it. I don't even think Mike would have had to get somebody else to contest because it would have been too much, in my opinion. Like Shaq and Penny, they would have stayed together. They probably would have been up there. Them and the Bulls would have been back to back as far as who's going to the finals.
I mean, my 2 cents, it's beautiful to think about. But I think honestly, because the funny thing, I watched that game against Houston, game 1, when Nick Anderson missed the 4 free throws.
Mm-hmm.
Orlando was the favorite to beat Houston.
They were.
And, they lost that game after blowing a 20-point lead. Mm-hmm. And it's like they never rebounded from that. And then it was like, okay, Orlando had everything you needed. Like they had shooting, big man, playmaker, all that stuff, right? Then you go to the next season when Mike came back and them boys got swept.
They did.
Right? They got swept.
They did. Mike took it personal.
They didn't compete. They swept. So, right? Got swept. Now, Shaq left after that, right? But to think about it, it would have still had to deal with the Bulls, right?
Right.
Then you also would have had to still deal with the Indianas, the Miamis.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think we saw what they could have been. I don't think they would have won that because the East was tough at the time, and mentally, Orlando, they didn't have it. You got swept by Houston after you collapse in one game. So, okay, you come back and you get swept by the Bulls. So, and before they went to the finals, they got swept by Indiana in the first round. So it's just, to me, they never showed that, and they were young, but it's like, why y'all young trying to develop and figure this thing out? it's like y'all always hitting a wall every year.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like we saw what they would have been. I don't think they would have. I don't see them beating the Bulls because they mentally. And Nick Anderson was done after '95 finals.
Mm-hmm.
He was never the same. So
I don't think they would have been done, and here's why, right?
okay,
When you look at Chicago Bulls and their come up and they had to go through Detroit, right?
yeah,
Detroit was beating them up physically,
yeah,
right? They could have faltered. Mike could have faltered. But what did they do? They was like, you know what? We got to beat Detroit. Mike said, I'm going to go in his weight room. He got everybody else to get aboard. Let's get in his weights. Get these weights up, get out, now weight up, and let's go out there and beat these boys. And that's what they did. So being that Orlando Magic was a very young team, that was only Shaq's, third season when they went there, second or third season.
when they went to the finals,
Yeah.
I think it was his third or fourth year,
To
one of those.
to the finals, and them losing to Houston and then getting swept by Chicago, that would have fueled them. That would have fueled like fueled Nick Anderson. Like, you know what? I got to come back with a vengeance. Shaq, as we see now, growing into his body. Shaq, let me get the weights. Let me be better. Penny, yo, I'll take that personal because they thinking that I'm that dude too. I think if they would have kept that team together, like you said, with the core, they had Nick Anderson, Scott Skiles, they had Dennis Scott, they Shaq, Penny, Horace Grant,
Grant.
Grant had came on after. Well, yeah, they had Horace Grant on that season.
Mm-hmm.
But you keep that team together and they grow together. It was no way. You got to go through adversity in order to obtain success, right? So it was like that success came to them quick because they were so good. It was like they were just too good together, right? That success came quick. They didn't really hit the adversity until they went to the finals because they was like, we got it in the bag. So Hakeem Olajuwon and Kenny Smith and them boys came out there and showed them, I ain't ready yet. That's what that was. Then Mike came back because Mike took it personal because they beat him the year before. Mike is Mike. Came back and they swept them. So I think for Shaq probably looked at that and was like, if Shaq would have had the mentality, because it's documented that if he had the mentality, I don't want to get away from Mike. I want to beat Mike. They would have. If they had kept that team intact, they would have beat Mike. But that's a big what if. That's a huge what if. Obviously, we've seen what happened when he went to Lakers. They created a dynasty over there with Kobe Bryant.
We should be glossing over because that's what I was waiting to chime in. It's like we seen Shaq and Lakers couldn't get it right until Phil Jackson came. So to me,
absolutely,
it looked like the right coach made a difference for Shaq because the Lakers was falling short and getting swept even when he was in LA. They got swept by Utah, So I just feel like we kind of saw what mentally they ain't have it all together, and it looked like the coaching was the big difference. But like you said, it's a big what if. But I just think that wouldn't have been no real difference. I think Phil Jackson was the difference for Shaq. That's
agreed.
My 2 cents.
So the last what if, let's keep it on that note. It's the biggest one. What if Michael Jordan never retired?
Yeah, this is one that I love right here.
What if Michael Jordan never retired?
I'll let you kick 99 season.
I'll let you kick it off.
That shortened 99 season, man. I think that would have been so interesting. Because like the lockout, they would have been well rested, and the league, it didn't really change. When Mike left, it just was like, okay, he's not here, and the Bulls broke up. That's the only thing that really changed.
Mm-hmm.
The Bulls dismantled. Scotty went here. Mike left. Cool coach went here. This person went here. If they stay together for a shortened year, I feel like they would have been right back there competing for a chip, man. A lot of rest.
I absolutely agree. Because if you look at it, right?
Yeah.
Mike, they won the first three-peat. He retires. He comes back and wins another three-peat.
Yeah.
Like that just shows you right then and there, if he never retired, they would have ran out. There's no doubt in my mind. Because you look at the team that wanted that it would have been. I would have loved to see the Bulls versus Rockets, Hakeem Olajuwon and them boys. But if you look at the team, who is checking Mike on that Houston Rockets team?
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah.
Who?
And
Mike would have had a
who's checking Hakeem?
Well, you had Dennis Rodman. Come on.
No, come on.
Listen, we're not going to act like Dennis Rodman is a slouch, a defensive slouch. Don't do that, bro. Don't do that.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
He would get his 1-2, but Dennis Rodman would have gotten
his
Hakeem
1-2?
Olajuwon head somehow, some
his
way.
1-2. You see what he did to David Robinson?
Yes. Listen, I'm not discrediting Hakeem Olajuwon, one of the greatest centers of all time. But we're talking about Dennis Rodman, who was the greatest rebounder of all time, one of the best defenders of all time, and one of the most peskiest human beings of all time. Like, we're not going to act like Hakeem Olajuwon was just going to go in there and cook the Chicago Bulls and Dennis Rodman. We're not going to do that, bro. This guy was a former Bad Boys Piston. He come on. We're not going to do that, bro. Let's not do that. There's no discredit to Hakeem Olajuwon, but nothing at all. But we're talking about the Chicago Bulls, Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, one of the 3 best defensive players that ever played in the NBA. Let's not do that. Please, bro. Please. I'm not saying like Hakeem Olajuwon wasn't going to cook, but it would have been far more difficult for him to do what he do against the Bulls than what he did on Orlando. Because if you look at Orlando, he only had to get by Shaq. There was nobody else to defend him. Right or wrong?
Hakeem Olajuwon? We really discussing? Dennis Rodman's getting cooked. He's too little, and Hakeem Olajuwon is documented. He's not rattled by the trash talking and all of that. He has not, even against the Boston Celtics in the 80s with McHale and Parrish. He was still like, bro, stop. Dennis Rodman and Hakeem Olajuwon, not even in the same stratosphere. I don't care how many rebounds you get. You're not messing with Hakeem. Stop.
Hakeem is great.
Stop.
Hakeem
no,
is
he's more than great. He's more than great.
We're talking about the Chicago Bulls as constructed in playing the Houston Rockets, because Houston Rockets got a sneaky 2 when Michael Jordan was out. They got a sneaky 2. Let's be honest. They got a sneaky 2, Pete. Let's be honest. Because when Mike Jordan came back in full form, they won 3 straight. Huh?
I'm not going to say it was sneaky because
Michael Jordan wasn't in the league.
He wasn't in the league, but in '95, they beat all higher seeds to get there.
They did.
Phoenix,
yeah.
Seattle, all these teams they beat. They didn't just they was the top seed. It was They earned their way there.
Did.
I mean,
they did.
You know what I mean? And Phoenix was up 3-1 in '95 and '94. And shout out to your man KJ, Kevin Johnson, for missing the free throw.
Shout out KJ,
because maybe they would have won. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it would have been interesting to see because everybody want to say if the Bulls stayed, they want to. Hakeem Olajuwon was really a problem.
He was.
The Bulls doing nothing with him. Just like Mike, nobody done for Mike. They're doing nothing with him. Nothing. So that's what you talk about Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman is getting cooked. He's getting cooked bad. Very bad. That is prime Hakeem. So he going to destroy Patrick Ewing, David Rod, all these big men of the time that was also defensive and bigger than Rodman. He's killing all of them, but you're going to say he wouldn't kill Rodman. That just sounds blasphemous.
And the reason why I say he wouldn't kill Rodman, because the type of player that Rodman is. Rodman is a type of player that he's a defensive-minded player, and he gets under your skin. He will find a way to get under Hakeem Olajuwon's skin one way or another, and you have Michael Jeffrey Jordan on your team. Just if Mike never retires, Hakeem Olajuwon don't get 2 rings. Let's be real. He doesn't get 2 rings. He doesn't.
See, man.
If Michael Jordan doesn't retire, Knicks doesn't go to the finals. They don't. They don't.
I mean,
They
yeah,
don't go to the finals,
they
right?
barely
Because
beat
you
Indiana and Chicago.
none of
I
them
mean,
go
they even
to
with
the
Mike Gone.
no, huh?
I said they barely beat Indiana and Chicago when Mike Gone. So I'm like, yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah,
But
none of them get there. So, I know we strayed away off of it because we talk about Akeem, but if Michael Jordan don't retire, Michael Jordan will have 8 rings by now if he doesn't retire. It's just they was too dominant because when you look at when he retires, right? He retired. The man retired, took like a season and a half off, going no Michael Jordan, gone. Comes back. They win 3 more straight. So we're gonna
yeah,
sit here and
yeah.
say that he wouldn't win out if he never retires. I'm not saying we didn't say that, but for the people that would gonna comment, he would have ran out. Michael Jordan, he got 6. He has 6 rings. He would have had. Let's pencil in definitely 7. He would have won 7, maybe 8, because like I say, Houston Rockets got 2 in there while he's retired. I mean, it's
But
but that's why it's called what
yeah,
ifs, right? That's
because
why it's
remember
called
the
what ifs.
Bulls teams was different though. So in that gap in window, right? That's 2 years. And it seems so small, but Dennis Rodman. Who to say Dennis Rodman even gets there? Dennis Rodman came for the second three-peat. They got him after from the Spurs, which was
Mm-hmm.
95. So
Right.
it's like there is no Dennis Rodman in them 2 years. Horace Grant, he left the Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
So who are they getting to fill that spot? It's a lot of questions. That's why I'm
It's a lot
saying,
of
like,
what ifs.
yeah. So, you know,
Right. That's why it's called what ifs, man.
yeah,
And
man.
that was the final one. Shout out to my son, your nephew, 1K Twan, for
Yeah,
providing us with those what ifs. We're gonna have some new ones next week. So
yeah,
yeah, shout out to AJ.
yeah. And oh yeah, bro, but say before we get in, switch the gears, I'm about to say because of how my joint is, just make sure you save the video too. So just in case it come out how I see it. So just
Mm-hmm.
make sure you save it too when they do cut off.
Mm-hmm.
All right, bet. So now we're gonna switch gears, man. Talk a little music, man. I don't,
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, your ear been in the streets, man? Cause I was,
I
I
ain't gonna
saw the
hold
boy
you.
KRS.
No.
All right, the boy KRS One said Nas is the greatest, man. And I
It's-
and I and
it's-
I had to watch it to hear what he said, and the context of it was basically because of like they was like he felt KRS-One felt like nobody could really compete with him. He got 25 albums, so if he did a verses, he said the only person that could look at him is Nas, and that's when he's like he think Nas is the greatest. He said because he feel like Illmatic was better than Criminal Minded.
mm.
You know what I mean? He said
Well,
Illmatic
he's
was better than.
comparing him. He comparing Nas to his albums.
Well, he was saying how Illmatic was better than his Nas's debut was better than his debut,
Right.
and he was basically saying how Illmatic is an album if you're trying to like introduce somebody to hip hop, like play that album. He was basically giving Nas his props how flawless it was, and he basically said he felt like Nas is the greatest. So, and that's coming from KRS One, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and he just made examples with the albums and comparing that, and
Mm-hmm.
he just basically was like, yeah, Nas joint is dope,
Mm-hmm.
and that's big coming from one of the, you know, one of the pioneers in changing the whole rap style. You know, I
Right.
think that, you know, KRS, Rakim, Kane, and Coogee Rap, you know, definitely changed the way everybody was rapping,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because it was, you know, rapping like Run DMC and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Then they came along and they, you know, everybody was like, yeah, we gotta tighten up,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we gotta switch that. So that's big coming from somebody like that. And
Mm-hmm.
I agree with KRS. I mean, you know, I think Nas is that guy, man.
So my 2 cents and change is when it comes to music, basketball, baseball, any sports, or generally a lot of topics that has numerous amount of people in it that play the sport or um, that acts or that does an abundance of things is always going to be subjective, right? Because everybody's going to have their favorite actor,
Mm-hmm.
but people always going to put one person as the GOAT, right? So when you look at actors, people will say that that Denzel Washington is the GOAT, right? But they got other people that say, well, no, Will Smith is the GOAT, right? Actresses, people will say that Angela Bassett is the GOAT actress, right? Or people will say, no, maybe Viola Davis is the GOAT actress, right? So it's going to be subjective. So in hip hop, I think when it doesn't become subjective is when you let other people claim that for you, right? So when we talk about the GOAT in basketball, there's no subjective to me. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player to ever play the game. Why? Because he never came out and said it, and the people deemed him, his peers, the people, the fans, they all deemed him the GOAT, right? So when you look at hip hop, it's subjective because Jay-Z, as we all know, says he's, the greatest rapper of all time, right? He self-proclaimed it. He called himself the GOAT, the Billy GOAT, stuff like that. Nas never claimed to be the greatest hip-hop person of all time because he always paid respects to the ones that came before him, as did Michael Jordan paid respects to the athletes, basketball players that came before him, right? Then you got Biggie Smalls, right? People will say he's the GOAT, but they say his body of work isn't enough to say that he's the greatest rapper of all time. And you know how I feel about Nas. Nas is my favorite MC, right? So I would say because of KRS-One, who was considered one of the greatest MCs of all time, saying that Nas is the greatest MC of all time, and Nas having the backing of his peers that will put him ahead of Jay-Z in a lot of categories as far as lyricism is concerned. I give it to KRS-One and saying Nas is the greatest rapper of all time. And Nas is not a rapper. Let's get that straight. There's a difference between a rapper and an MC. Nas is an MC, right? Let's say somebody like Soulja Boy, that's a rapper, right? So Nas is an MC. So he's, to me, in my book, is the greatest MC of all time. And he didn't have to say it. KRS-One and his peers said it. So that's my 2 cents and change on that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. And then, another topic, the group Outkast, man. I saw the ballot for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And of course, I mean, Outkast is legendary. And when I seen the ballot, I voted. I'm like, yeah, Outkast, they probably going to be in the top. Man, they was, I think the top 6 get in out of the ballot. They was like in 8th place. And I'm like,
who was above them in the ballot?
I ain't gonna lie. It was like a bunch of like, I think some rock bands. It was people that, I didn't really pay attention. I'm not gonna lie. I just was so focused on Outkast. And I know sometimes rappers in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they don't get in on the first try. So they don't get in on the first try. They don't get on the first try. So I feel like
looking at it now. So the 2025 nominees, you got Soundgarden. I'm not too familiar with their music. Outkast, the Black Crowes, Cyndi Lauper, Joe Cooker, Oasis. I heard of Oasis. Chubby Checker, Joe Division and New Order, the White Stripes, Fish, Mana, Billy Idol, Bad Company, Mariah Carey. I mean, again, music is very subjective, and I'm not too familiar with a lot of these nominees, so I think it would be unbiased of me per se to put Outkast above, say, a Black Crow, because I'm not familiar with Black Crow's music, right? So us, right, in our community, we know Outkast, so we saying that's atrocious. We got Outkast number 8.
Yeah, that's how I was on it. I'm like,
right, what the hell? But you got like Joe Cooker, like these guys probably sold billions of records sold out. We don't know. That's not in our demographic. That's not who we know, right? So it would be unfair for me or for us to be like, well, that's low for Outkast because we know we grew up on Outkast, but we don't know these other individuals, right? I mean, even Outkast compared to Mariah Carey is an icon. So we can't say Outkast wasn't deserving in their numbers higher than the Mariah Carey, because Mariah Carey, we know
Mariah,
her status, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes,
I just
sir.
think my 2 cents on that is maybe that was justifiable in their number rankings based off of who is in these categories, right? So yeah.
Sure.
But you know they are deserving to get in. Outkast is very much deserving to get in. They are an iconic hip hop group. They are deserving to get in. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Shout out to Outkast.
Shout out to Outkast, and there we have it, man. You know, that's all we had.
That was it.
That was all we had for today, man.
Listen, man, that was great, man. That was episode 3 of 2 Cents and Change, the podcast. Listen, man.
Sir.
Shout out to everybody that tuned in. Shout out to make sure y'all like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, man. We need the subscribers and stuff on there. We're gonna build that up. Shout out to TikTok. TikTok is going up. We love y'all on TikTok. If you got a platform, you're not on TikTok, what are you doing? What are you doing? TikTok is up. Man. Shout out to No Advisory Podcast. We live tomorrow, Wednesdays. That's No Advisory Podcast. You know what it is, the #1 urban entertainment podcast out here in Charlotte, North Carolina. You know what it is, man. And that was 2 Cents to Change Your Podcast. Your boy, C.O. McClain.
Your boy, Melly Mel, episode 3 in the books.
Yes, and shout out to my son, your nephew, 1K Antoine, for the top 5s. Make sure you look out for those every week, the top 5 what ifs in NBA. So make sure y'all tune into that every week. And yeah, man, we signing off, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. We out.
Peace.